part of our garden, we have a beautiful variegated tropical foliage plant. It's the variegated tapioca. And we featured this plant a time or two in the past on our program, but I just love the variegated foliage of this plant. You get a palmate divided leaf. You can see the leaves coming out kind of like the palm of your hand, kind of radiating out from a central point. And we've got the green color on the edge, this wonderful gold in the center. Then the petiole, or the leaf stalk, also gives some pink color to the garden. Now, the variegated tapioca is a little bit hard to find. It's not all that available in nurseries and garden centers, but if you can find it, it's well worth having in the garden, especially here in Oklahoma, because it is very heat and humidity tolerant. Now, the tapioca plant is the source of tapioca pudding. It's that pudding that gives you that interesting bubbly texture and very delicious to those of us who like tapioca pudding. Now, to you and me, this plant is known as tapioca, but to about 600 million people worldwide, it's known as cassava, and it is a staple food source in those countries. The tapioca pudding is made from the roots of the tapioca or cassava plant, but there are also several other food products made from this plant. I've got a selection of them right over here. I went to our International Food Mart and got some products made from the root of tapioca or cassava. This is a flour, tapioca flour, very starchy type flour, and sometimes we have the flour in flake form. Sometimes you can actually find the roots of the cassava. Right over here we've got cassava pearls or tapioca pearls. This is the little bubbles that we find in the tapioca pudding. And if you've maybe gone to an Asian restaurant and had bubble tea, this is the source of those little spherical particles in the tea, but made from the starch of the roots of the tapioca. And right over here, you can see on the package, we've got cassava chips. These are just sliced portions of the root of the cassava, dried, sort of like potato chips. They're delicious, and they have about 40% less fat than potato chips. Now, before you get the idea of getting a tapioca plant and trying to make some of these food products at home, you need to know that the tapioca cassava plant is highly poisonous, contains high amounts of cyanide. In fact, to get the roots into an edible state, they have to be peeled, they have to be boiled, sort of wrung out, dried, and just a number of processes to eliminate that cyanide. Now, some of the newer varieties aren't quite as toxic as some of the older ones, but still a very toxic plant, and you definitely want to have to buy some of these products and don't try to make anything on your own out of the tapioca cassava plant. Well, there's some recent news about cassava. The researchers at Ohio State University have done some genetic modification of the cassava plant. They took a gene from a bacterium and they inserted it into a cassava plant, and it has enabled the roots to store a lot more starch, up to 2.5 times the amount of starch of a normal cassava plant. So those really huge roots of the tapioca cassava are going to be very important in helping to alleviate hunger in developing countries. One of the researchers wants to offer these new cassava plants to some of those developing countries at no charge. And it is an important breakthrough to help feed some of the hungry population in the densely populated areas of the world. So whether you enjoy tapioca or cassava food products, or you want to locate the variegated tapioca plant for your garden, it's very beautiful and a very important plant worldwide.